Hello again everybody, and welcome to the second installment of my Dissidia Final Fantasy Arcade commentary series. In this video, I will be talking about the battle mechanics of the game. The first video in the series was a general overview, and now I want to talk in specific about how a battle goes down, and what you as a player would want to be looking for and what you would want to do, so that when I get to doing some actual commentary, you'll understand what's going on. So, like I said, I'm using a player whose channel is called Soosui, and he's a Bart's player. And pretty much as soon as this video starts, I'm going to pause it and have something to show you. Something that I didn't mention before. This is the pre-battle screen, where you can see your opponents and your allies. You can see the HP attack that they've chosen, so you'll know what they're trying to do to damage you. And you can see the EX skills that they've chosen, so you can see how that will be affected. Now while I'm on this screen and you can see 6 characters, it's a good time to talk to you about character types. There are 3 character types. Cloud and Warrior of Light are heavies. They're heavy type. Kain is a speed type. Ace is a shoot type. And the 4th type is unique, of which Onion Knight and Bart's both belong. And they all basically do what you would imagine. Heavy types have the slowest movement speed and deal heavy damage. They have the highest damage potential, and they often have a lot of moves with super armor, depending on what the character's styles additionally on top of that might be. A character like Kain is speed, and also someone like Titus are 2 characters, even Squall. Oftentimes speed characters are just pure offense. They don't have a lot of defensive options, but they're the fastest moving class. In many cases, they have a lot of multi-hitting moves, and their moves generally come out quicker than a heavy character's moves. In this game, everybody has the same HP, so that's not really much of an issue. It's not like their attacks are going to be weaker. Their attacks, an attack, each attack has its own set damage, so it's not really about that. It's really about the speed, being able to close the distance, and upon meeting someone, if you both react at the same time, speed characters' attacks are going to come out quicker for the most part. Ace and pretty much every mage in the game belong to shoot class, and that just means what it sounds like. They shoot at you from far away. They're fighters who want to be mid-range to long-range, and they don't want you in their space. And once you are in their space, they usually only have a few tools, if any, to deal with that. And so this is how the characters are balanced against each other. I don't really see it as like a Fire Emblem style weapons triangle, and if I did, I don't know what it would be, what would beat what, but that is how it plays out. Now, Onion Knight and Bart's are both unique, and this is for all the characters who don't fit into a mold. And Onion Knight doesn't fit into that mold because, as the Onion Knight, he's a pretty standard character. But his EX skill allows him to either job change mid-battle into a ninja, which would make him speed class, or a mage, which would make him shoot class. And he can do it depending on the situation or what he feels his team needs at the moment. I do think there is some type of stipulation or requirement for which job he changes to, but I haven't done much research on him, so I couldn't tell you at this particular moment. Bart's, on the other hand, is unique for a different reason, and if you played the first 2 Dissidias, you would know that he mimed all his moves from other characters. In this game, he doesn't do that, but he still takes a similar concept in that each of his attacks comes from one of the job classes in Final Fantasy V. So he has a very versatile arsenal that he can employ for different situations. That makes him a huge threat, makes him a very good all-around character. He can be whatever his team needs him to be, and that's why I consider him one of the strongest characters, and he's also my favorite character. So I'll be able to say the most about him, and that's why I'm starting the video on explaining battle mechanics by following a Bart's player. Now, at this screen, there are some things you want to take away as a player. And obviously the first thing is you want to know which HP attacks your opponents have chosen, and you want to know that so that you know from what range they're going to be trying to hit you and how they're going to try to set up hitting you. So you want to know that. You might want to know their EX skills too, to know different ways they're going to be buffed or ways they're going to try to debuff you. And then you also want to know who's on your team and what they'll be trying to do so that you can support them. Knowing that Cloud does heavy damage, someone like Ace might want to keep track of Cloud's movements and who he's going after, because he might have a multi-hit move that could lock his opponent into place while someone with high damage output like Cloud attacked him. Similar deal with Bart's. You know, if he can hold someone in place for someone with high damage, or just a melee fighter when you're not a melee fighter, to hold someone in place for the melee fighter to hit, that's a good thing. You want to try to do that. And you would also want to make sure, as the Bart's player, that Cloud or Ace aren't getting pinned down by someone like Kane who might be able to overwhelm them, specifically Kane versus Ace, with Kane being a speed character and Ace being a shoot character. It's possible that if Kane wanted to just dog him the whole match and never let him get away, he could do that. And that's actually something I've seen a Squall player do to a Y'shtola player. Y'shtola is also a shoot type, and she doesn't even do much damage. She sets up traps and tries to support her allies. And I've actually seen a Squall player just stay on her the whole fight and never let her accomplish anything. I think he killed her twice in the fight, and her teammates never realized what was happening to her. So, you know, team play is the name of the game. And the last thing on this screen is you can see which summon each team chose. Alexander is the newest summon, and he's still the player favorite, so both teams have chosen to use Alexander for their summon. That being said, I'll explain a little bit more about Bart's, and then we'll jump right into the fight. Bart's, his gimmick, along with having a move from each move is from a different job class, the way he works is the more he uses a single move, the closer he becomes to mastering the move. When he masters a move, 3 stars will appear over his head, so you'll know he mastered the move. Anytime he uses the move, he'll have the 3 stars over his head. And what that does is he'll either get a buff in a particular stat, like if he masters Dragoon with his jump skill, with his jump attack, then that'll raise his defense by 12.5%, I believe. And so each one of his attacks, the attack will itself become stronger, and it'll give some type of stat buff usually. And his EX skill is, I'm not sure what it's called, but he throws up his Chocobo Boko's feather, and any buffs he has, he shares those buffs with his party for 20 seconds, I think. So Bart is going to be on the lookout to master his moves, and he gets credit towards mastering them whether he makes contact with an enemy or not. He gets more credit for making contact, but a lot of times if the fight starts and no one is near Bart's, he might spam his Mystic Knight sword skill, where he does 3 slashes of a fire, thunder, ice element, or fire, ice, thunder element, because once it's mastered, its range increases a lot, and he can use it to close distance when he's at mid-range to an enemy, and of course it'll do more damage, and he'll get the buff from it. So you'll see Bart's players sometimes attack at air if you're not bothering them, because that would allow them to get that. So when I start the fight, we'll see what he starts off with, and we'll see who he goes after, and I'll try to comment on why he goes after them. Now, I think I've pretty much explained everything about how the battle system works except for blocking, and the short answer is it works like Super Smash Bros. You hold the block button and a big orb appears around you, and when someone hits you hard enough, it'll knock you far away, but if you continue to block, it'll turn red and eventually break, and it'll leave you stunned, exactly the same as in Smash Bros, just waiting for your opponent to look at you and pick whichever move they want to use on you. And that's pretty much it. So let's get into the fight, and if I want to do any more in-depth talking about the characters, I'll do it during this time in the commentary videos. So let's hop in. Okay. コアに向かうぜ。了解。風は必ず吹く。挑むだけの覚悟があるのだろうな。行くぞ。風の赴くままに。See there, he used his Mystic Knight sword skill already just to get that little bit of credit while he was free towards it. So he saw spells going on, but he saw Onion Knight was focused on Ace and not looking in his direction, so he thought maybe I'll get a look at it hitting on him. Then that's the Dragoon jump attack I was talking about. Again, you know, while they're all still close together, if you see someone attacking one of your allies, that means they're open for you to attack them. So you run after that Warrior of Light and see what's nearby. That's the summon push, so when you destroy it, it fills up your summon bar by a lot. You can see it's over half full from using the jump attack on it. And so see, the name of the game is to kind of be aware of everyone who's near you, and don't overextend yourself heading in one direction towards a character that you're intending on chasing. See, he was rushed into the wall there. It's called wall rush when you touch the wall, but one of his teammates there was there to protect him from being followed up on. And he hits him with an HP attack. So now Warrior of Light and Onion Knight are low on HP, so very low on HP. So if anyone gets a chance to hit them with even a weak HP attack, they'll be KO'd. So I think what he wants to do now is probably go after Kane and lower his HP similarly, because they're already in a very good position for the fight. What Bartz just did was, let me pause that. You just saw Bartz do two things. You saw him use one of his EX skills, and then you saw him use his character-specific EX skill, throwing up Boko's Chocobo Feather. And the reason they did that was because they were able to summon Alexander. So now Alexander's on the field fighting for them. He's going to do bravery attacks against the opponents, and they can dodge them, but if they hit, they'll all do at least 1,000 brave damage. So the opponents are going to be weak and not have much killing power, so now's the time for Bartz's team to push their advantage. So he used his attacking EX skill that buffs his attack power, and then he threw up Boko's Feather to share his attack buff. Well, actually, I don't know what the buff is for Mystic Knight off the top of my head, but I know he had Mystic Knight mastered, and he might have had Dragoon mastered too. So he shared that Dragoon defense buff with his teammates, and it actually looks like the Mystic Knight is an attack buff, because you can see a sword right here next to both of them, and a boot right here next to both of them. Cloud seems to have another buff, but it's behind this, so I can't see what it is. So, yeah, as you can see, his team summoned Alexander, and then he stacked all his other buffs on top of it to push their advantage. They're in a very good situation with the two opponents already being so low on HP, and Kane has full HP, but he has no Brave at the moment, meaning that someone was able to break him. So I guess I'll resume, and we'll see what happens from here. What I imagine is going to happen is, if you know Final Fantasy, Alexander is a holy type summon, so he rains a lot of judgment from the sky. It's going to obscure the screen a lot at different times, and so they may try to get somebody caught in Alexander's attack and hit him with an HP attack, or they might try to just be out of view to the opponent because of Alexander's attack and land an HP attack on them that way. So let's unpause and see what happens. Another mechanic I don't know if I explained, Bartz's Brave score has turned purple, and whenever you're locked onto someone that you can kill in one shot with your HP attack, your Brave will turn purple to let you know. So he's either locked on to Onion Knight or Warrior of Light right now, and so his Brave bar is telling him that if you hit them with an HP attack, they will die. That's friendly fire from Alexander, so he doesn't have to worry about it. And see, once he missed that attack against Kane, he just went the other way to get out of the situation. He didn't want him to retaliate. He's not trying to get into a scuffle. He's just trying to land a kill. He's already got the kill power. He doesn't need to bring up any Brave. As you saw, that red part, the red just ticked out off of the opponent's team. That means one of his teammates landed a kill. Cloud only has 1,000 Brave right now, so it looks like it was him, because once you land an HP attack, your Brave resets to 0 and then refills. So Cloud was able to land a kill on Warrior of Light, who had low HP because Bartz hit him earlier. See, it wasn't necessary for Bartz, after he landed his HP attack, to keep following Warrior of Light to get the kill. He could do that and then leave him alone and go try to pursue another option, because should anyone hit Warrior of Light, after that point with an HP attack, he was going to die. It was no longer urgent. He could be killed at any time, should the opportunity present itself. And so now Warrior of Light is off the field for 10 seconds. So again, just like when they summoned, it's time to push their advantage even further and try to land a kill on Onion Knight or Kane. And so as you can see, Kane is just running, and I think Onion Knight might be in a mage job. I see him shooting fire from across the screen, and it looked like it was simply to protect Kane. There you've got Warrior of Light is back. Onion Knight was defeated, and so now we kind of reset to everyone having full HP and back to neutral. There's no advantage to really push right now. Just play a safe game and don't get killed. Someone did run an HP attack on Kane, so but even so, I don't think it would become a target. Until someone on Bart's team dies, I think they're going to play it safe. You know, stay in the middle of the field, attack whoever is near, not give them too much space to do what they want, also not overextend yourself into enemy territory. There's no reason to give up a game that's won. Oh wow, he just now mastered Dragoon, and then he landed his HP attack, his Dancer, on Warrior of Light, and that is the fight. And so I don't know if I'll stop the fight here, or go into another. I think I'll commentate the next fight and pause and explain more as the fight goes on. But now you see the basic flow and premise of what's happening in the game. It's a very cerebral game. It's a lot of neutral. It's a lot of neutral play. Because once you hit someone with a combo, they often get knocked far away, and then you reset to neutral, and you try to get in your next hit and win the next confrontation. You try to keep yourself from being exposed, and you look for the player opposite you to expose themselves. So now we have a new team set up, because it's not an official tournament or anything, so there are no static teams. Everyone's just on their own arcade machine playing together via the internet. So now you can see that this new enemy team has chosen Shiva as their summon. So that's something to think about. Shiva is going to cause their Brave to regenerate faster once they drop below 1,000. So even if they get broken, I believe, they'll remain a threat because their Brave is going to come back up. So you don't want to push too hard just because you see someone has been broken, or just because they just use an HP attack that depleted their Brave to 0, because their Brave is going to shoot back up fast, and they might just spam another HP attack and nail you. Now some more comments on the team. He's still got maybe the same Cloud on his team, I'm not sure, but he's got Y'shtola on his team, and I think, like you heard me mention earlier, she is very vulnerable to people getting in her face if they get around her traps and whatnot. So while they don't need to follow her around the whole fight, they might want to keep a close eye on where she is and just make sure she's not getting overwhelmed. Like if you're playing and you see her HP drop twice quickly, you might realize that she's being targeted, so maybe you should play your game near her. Some things to think about on the other team. Titus is a speed type, and so he might be able to really get under Y'shtola's skin. So someone who's as versatile as Bart's, it could be a possible idea to make it your mission of pinning down Titus just so he can't pin down Y'shtola. There's all types of strategies you could employ. But it all depends on how you see the situation. But there are things that you just need to keep in mind when you see it shaping up like this. There's also the stage in the middle is a very big stage, if I'm not mistaken, and that's actually going to be pretty bad for Titus because he's got to get in your face to hit you. And the team might actually, you could actually try to neutralize his effect by just choosing to never engage him, just move away and attack someone else. Now his dashing ability is very good, so you might not be able to do that, but again, I'm just talking theoretical strategies that you might want to try to employ. Both Titus and Furion have pretty straightforward battle strategies, Furion has a lot of moves that allow him to deal damage and or pull you into him to do damage from the middle range. So you have to be careful if you get too close to him. Like if a Cloud makes it his mission to attack Furion's range is much bigger than Cloud's, and he can suck him in with an attack that does damage and then do more damage as he's stunned once he's pulled him next to him. And Vaughn can equip 2 HP attacks, so that's something to think about. That's his gimmick, and oftentimes he might spam one of his HP attacks if it's very good and just continuously chip at the health of other players. So you have to be on the lookout for his HP attacks because they're very good, and he's got 2 different ones he can use and he can spam them against you. And if that works out well for him, it'll be instructive. But later, when I commentate on a Vaughn player's fight, you'll see, after you watch someone playing as Vaughn, why all the characters don't have access to all their HP moves, because he can be just an overwhelming force just by the simple fact that he has 2 HP moves instead of 1. So I've talked long enough. Let's get into this fight so I can wrap up this video. Got some theme music for Bart's. Again, he started with the free Mystic Blade slices just to get that mastery up, so you can use it as a good tool. Another good thing about Mystic Blade is that if he lands his attack on an opponent, he can do the first hit and stop, he can do the first and second hit and stop, and by doing that, he'll leave his opponent in hit stun, and if one of his allies is close by, he'll, I want to say something about what just happened. If one of his allies is close by, he can leave them in hit stun from the first or the first 2 attacks from his Mystic Knight attack sword, and allow one of his teammates to hit that stunned character with an HP attack. So that's another reason it's a very good move for Bart's. I don't know if it was intentional, but like I was saying before, Bart's and Furion ended up with an encounter with each other, and that could be because Cloud intentionally avoided getting into a confrontation with Furion, because like I said, I'll actually rewind this about 10 seconds, and you can see that Furion is attacking Bart's from the mid-range, and even for Bart's, someone who's as versatile as him, he doesn't have anything that can reach Furion from that distance to counterattack, because his jump isn't going to reach quite that far. You can see on the left side of the screen is Furion locked onto Bart's with that red attack arc, and Vaughn is locked on to Titus. What's going to happen is Bart's player is going to see Furion locked onto him, and he's going to switch his engagement from Titus to Furion. And he's going to try to use his Black Mage attack, but it comes out too slow to interrupt Furion. So once he gets out of danger, he's just going to disengage the confrontation as well, because the mid-range is Furion's range, and he doesn't want to be there. So let's get it played and see what happens. So there's Furion. See, he's trying to hit him. It comes out way too slow. Furion's range is the middle range. He's just throwing out attacks at him, and he's not going to be able to do anything about it, so he just gets out of there. It's not going to end well for him. He's going to lose that fight. He spots Titus get hit. You saw the block animation just create a storm around you. He missed his opportunity to hit Titus, so he's going to try to go get the summon core bonus. Missed out on that, so just switch gears and try to get at whoever's closest to him. See, he caught Titus coming out of his HP attack, actually, which was unfortunate for Titus after landing a good hit like that. But again, it's possible that you could say that he shouldn't have thrown the HP attack in traffic. He should have waited for a better opportunity, or at least once his wave was higher, he could get a one-shot kill on someone. And again, Bart just showed why he's my favorite character. Titus came in with an attack, and when the Bart's player saw it coming, he used his jump attack, and it's a counter melee attack. You jump in the air, it gets you out of the way, and then you come down on their head. Bart's looked open, so Titus was like, alright, he's in my range, I'll hit him. Bart saw it coming, targeted him, and used jump, and ended up being the one who won the exchange. So see that one more time. attack coming, just lock onto him, jump, and now he's broken. And if Bart's wanted, you could chase after him and finish him off with an HP attack. He launched it on Vaughn instead and was able to bring him down to very low health, and that crosshairs encounter, Titus died as well. And so just like that, Vaughn, Bart's double tapped Vaughn and put him out of the game for the next 10 seconds. I think it might be 5 seconds, they're coming back pretty quickly. But in any case, what the Vaughn player should have done after taking that kind of HP damage was back out of the situation and reevaluated his position. Because once your team is already down once, and then you're at low HP, you don't want to die and cost your team another tick of your life bar. Because if you summon bar full, you see your other teammates summoning, you start summoning too, because that will make you summon Alexander instantly. And I have a feeling he might use those buffs again and just push the advantage and win the fight. He doesn't even seem to think he needs to right now. Nope, he backed out into space, popped both of his EX skills and his party buff for the master skills, and now they're just going to try to get this one in. Look at him using an attack from inside of Alexander's attack so they couldn't see it coming. He was able to land his attack this way, and there it is, getting the extra damage from the long version of his HP attack, and that's the game. So yeah, these are the types of things you're going to be thinking about when you're playing. People say it's dumbed down, but it still carries a lot of the old hallmarks of any other fighting game. There's a neutral phase where you want to evaluate your opponent, you don't want to overextend yourself, you don't want to leave yourself open to the person you're targeting or someone else who might be targeting you. And then you want to know when it's appropriate to press your advantage and when it's not appropriate. And you also want to know when it's time to back out and reevaluate your situation and see if what your team isn't doing, if what your team is doing is working, or if it's not, what you should be different. Like I said, after that Vaughn player got caught by Bart's HP attack, he never should have stayed in the middle of the fray to try to retaliate to anyone. He should have backed out and looked to see what his best option was. So I'm not going to talk through this last battle. But I will say that right there, you saw that after Bartz did that attack and that Kane player was near him, he dropped into his shield in case he decided to use attacking moving into his range. So that's all I really have to say for now. Again, I'm not going to commentate this whole fight. I'll commentate the next fights real time. So my assignment for now, if you watched both the first two videos, would be to go to Trueblade's page, check out his posts about Dissidia Final Fantasy Arcade, and watch his video on your favorite character. So if you see me commentating them, you'll understand what's going on. As an opponent on the battlefield, you'll understand what they're trying to do when you see them in certain exchanges. And that'll be a wrap for this video. Remember, you can always like, comment, subscribe, like what's going on, and remember to comment and tell me which character you want to see me commentate. And in that, I'll talk about the character strategies that I think they're doing well, what I think they're doing wrong, and the things you might want to be thinking about when you finally get your hands on the game. So, until next time, everyone.